I'm Jelena, and I would like to introduce to you a form of art therapy, and we're going to explore that through doing a mandala. And just to give you a bit of background on what art therapy is, basically I always look at art as medicine, and as you probably know, being a creative or non-creative, when you do see a piece of art, it does inspire you, or it brings up emotions. It can do all sorts of things. So basically within our psyche, we have symbols that we draw upon, symbols that we get attracted to, and when we're actually needing to find out what's going on deeply, using art as a therapy is a really good way of doing that. So I'm going to show you a really simple technique that you can do, and you can do it daily, you can do it weekly, based around what's going on for you. And so mandalas, the word mandala is a Sanskrit word, and it means inner sanctum. So you'll see a lot of mandalas, they're actually a circle, but they don't have to be a circle. They can look the way they need to look. But basically, it's saying that within that circle, there is an aspect of yourself that wants to be known. And then what we'll do is I'll teach you to actually dialogue with that particular symbol, picture that you've drawn, that mandala that you've drawn, and that's going to be instead of writing per se, you can actually do a drawing. So consequently, after you've done the drawing, you could possibly, if you wanted to, you could actually write about that experience. But that's further down the track. So we'll just start with a really simple way of you in this particular moment, in this particular time, and because it is being very stressful for people, this is a good way of expressing yourself through a non-verbal way. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes when you talk and talk and talk, you just go around in circles. Whereas if you can actually sit in a meditative place and then allow whatever it needs to come up through a drawing. Now, this is not about technique. A lot of people think, oh, art therapy, you need to know to draw. I don't necessarily believe that. I think there are some people that will, say that that's a possibility. But for me, art therapy or using this technique is all about just allowing what comes up. And it could be that you just draw a dot and that's all you need. So don't make it wrong. You don't have to be an artist. There's no experience needed. All you need to do is to allow yourself to drop into yourself enough to be able to draw out whatever it is that you need at this moment. So you can use whatever paper you like. I'm just using my art paper. If you want, if you're a bit scared, you might also want to get a printable mandala. There's also lots of books out now which are sort of like colouring in books and what this is going to do for you, these particular methods per se, is that it's going to take you into a meditative state. So if you're feeling a bit anxious and you just feel like you just need to quieten the mind, you might want to use these particular modalities. However, I would encourage you to create your own, and that's really simple. So you can either do a small one if you want to start off small, or you can do a big one. And all you need to do is to draw around. Now, I'll also go into the different types of things that you could be using, because as you can see, I'm got a lot of choice here, which as an art therapist, you do tend to get lots of choices. These are what we call soft pastels. And soft pastels are really good because they can get a little bit messy. So you might need to put something around you because it does get a little bit messy on your fingers and what have you. But these allow you to sort of really blend and to create different colors and technique. And I'll show you in a moment how you can use these. The other method is what we call crayons, but this is my favorite brand. It is expensive, but they tend to give you a little bit more vibrancy, and they can also be used. We've also got these ones, which are if you don't want to get your fingers dirty. Sometimes I don't feel like I want to have dirty fingers. Then you've also got textures. You've also got the everyday pastels, which are oil pastels. So there's a lot that you can choose from. What have we got in here? Oh, okay, and they're just colouring pencils, so you might want to use those as well. So it's really up to you what modality you use. It doesn't really matter. But as I said, all you need to really do, and I'll use, what is it? I'll use a texter, and all I'm going to do is put this around like so. Okay, so that just gives you the actual crucible. This is like a sacred space. So before you start, choose what size plate you want, how big a piece of paper, and what instrument, be it a pastel or a texter. Or textures I probably wouldn't suggest, because they can give more of a definite line, and sometimes that's why I was talking about the pastels. I'm going to show you how they work. If you've got them, you probably already know, but basically you can do quite a strong color, but then you can soften it out. And sometimes you can even use the outline to create things as well. So this is a little bit more pliable. So that's my usual method, specifically when I'm looking into issues that may be quite deep. And remember that again, it's not about what it looks like, it's how it feels as you're doing it. And then towards the end, you can actually sit with it and ask it what it's trying to tell you. So basically, we'll start, but before you start, one of the things that you might want to do is to, create a space where you take deep breaths, you close your eyes, you center yourself. I do actually have a video that you can look at. You can also send me, and I can send you the link. And basically, it's a dance meditation, which you could actually do prior to doing that. But what I would suggest, it's better to be done when you're in a meditative state, so that you can get the most out of it. You don't have to, but it's my preferred way of working, because then you're actually dropping yourself into yourself enough to get some insights from what colors you choose. And you might even find that over a week, you could do it every day for a week and see if you're using the same colors, to see if the same symbols are coming up. It's like what Jung used to talk about. He was very much about dreamscape. It'll be that there'll be a particular symbol that just keeps popping up. There'll be things that you get drawn to. There'll be things that you draw constantly because there's something that they're trying to tell you something. So all art therapy is around is actually allowing that non-verbal part of you to come out, using color, using shapes, to tell you what's going on. And that's why dreams are really important to also start to look at. And we can talk about that in another video. But basically, because today you've got your crucible, this is your mandala, and then use your, I'm going to use the pastels. And so what I tend to do after I've come out of the meditative state, I'll just look at the colors for a moment and I'll think which ones I'm getting drawn to. And the first thing that I'm getting drawn to today is blue, and obviously I go, when I get dressed in the morning, I'm very mindful of what colors I wear. And so I usually know that that's going to be a theme for me. I get drawn to a color. So again, I'm getting drawn to a blue. And then all you need to do is sit and you wait. And it might be that you wait for a little bit, or you might just start to do circles. And that then might come into a particular pattern. And that is all you need to do. And you'll find that even just doing that, it just takes you more into yourself. So you've done the meditative of bringing, through the breath, you take a breath, let it go. Take another one, let it go. Take another one, let it go. And as you let it go, you then pick up your chalk or your pencil, and you just allow it to move. And it doesn't have to look like anything. It just feels. And you can go outside. It's really up to you. And then you might just want to concentrate on one section. And as I said, with the pastels, I usually find it's great because then you can make it to look a little bit different. You might just want to do this. It's really up to you. You just allow it. And just sometimes even getting dirty fingers is actually good. If you're a creative like me, there are times where you want to get dirty fingers and there are other times you don't. But mostly I feel like I'm involved in the process when that happens. And that's why I really do love pastels, because they can be a bit messy, but they can also be amazing. and it's a way of tapping into yourself, and you don't even have to be thinking about anything. You just keep going into the color. You might just keep doing swirls. You might just sort of do a cross or whatever. It's really up to you. So do yourself a favor if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed or anxious or stressful, and you do have anything available. As I said, you could be using, mandalas that you can get printable off the internet. If you've got one of these beautiful books, which are meditative art therapy books, where you can just color in, it's a way of settling yourself. And I know that in these times when you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, have anxiety about what's going on, this is a way of coming back into yourself so that you can feel a lot more calm, a lot more together, and a lot more grounded. So thank you. If you have any questions, please send me a message. Bye-bye.